Hey guys, Justin here. A common question I get asked is what is the biggest difference between a 2000 and a 5000 iRating driver? Now, there are a couple obvious answers like experience, available free time, and connections, but I want to cover something every driver can take away and start thinking about no matter their situation, so stick around for that. First, let's quickly elaborate on those obvious answers. Now, not every 5000 plus driver will have these qualities, but there is definitely a correlation with them. First is experience. I took a sample of 20 random 5K drivers and found that their average account age was over 6 years old. So, a lot of people who get into the game around the pandemic are at that level of experience right now to where they are well above average, but now the competition against people who have been on the service for double or even triple the time that they have. Next is available free time. It's no secret that some of the fastest up and comers these days are high school and college kids. When you have less life responsibilities and 6+ hours a day to grind left turns, that quickly makes up for the lack of experience in terms of years. I've seen people gain up to 2000 iRating in 1 week just by running dozens of races in a single week. Also, connections. Once you reach a certain level of ability to execute, you're only being held back by your knowledge of cars, tracks, and even just some pure fundamentals. And a lot of those fundamentals on iRacing can easily be taught through someone who has a more experienced background. Having a friend who is already good at iRacing and willing to help you out is probably the quickest way to improve at iRacing, as they're able to communicate with you more often and even know you better to help you out. But finally, I want to cover the main point of this video. To talk about a concept and a word that has been frustrating iRacing beginners and intermediate drivers alike since the dawn of time. And that word is feel. I'm sure you've heard people say something like, oh, I just drive by feel, or you have to get a feel for the track. But what does that even mean? Well, I'm going to do my best to put into words the concept of feel and why so many high iRating drivers seem to have it. Let's start with something taught to every kid in school, the 5 W's of question asking. Who, what, where, when, and why. Now, let's take out the who because I guess when you're driving, the who is always you. But with the 4 that are remaining, which that are left represent the concept of feel the best? Well, when trying to improve at a car or get faster at a track, the first instinct is to look at the whats, the wheres, and the whens. For instance, when you're trying to learn corner entry at Twin Ring, the what can be 30% brake, the where can be the wall marking where your car is angled down slightly, and the when can just be a little bit past the 50 marker. And you can learn a perfectly fast line by just learning these inputs and timings. But you do not learn the concept that is even more important than the inputs. That's why I would argue that the question that represents the concept of feel the most is why. Why are you using so much brake when you can slow down the car faster with even more brake? Why is the car angled down before corner entry? Why brake at the 150 marker when you can brake much later? Answering these questions allows you to take what you've learned in this situation and apply it to different situations like a long tire run, a track temperature change, or even different tracks and cars entirely. Answering the whys is what feel is, in my opinion. Think about the track that you are the most comfortable at and the track that you are the worst at, and ask these questions and compare them. I think it's very likely that you'll be able to answer more why questions, even if you could answer a similar amount of what, where, and when questions. Now, about only half of my viewers watch my ARCA guides past the actual lap, which I think is a real shame, but not for any reasons having to do with me. I am just happy to have people watching my videos in the first place, but because I think the analysis of the laps are more important and a better tool to get faster laps than the laps themselves. Those parts of the guides contain the whys that will remain applicable beyond super specific situations like qualifying. So if you want to take the next step in iRacing, start trying to answer the whys along with all of your other questions. This isn't even something you have to do on your own. Like I mentioned, good guides will always include the whys, and if you can't find any, asking a fast streamer something like, oh, what was the reason you did this, is always a very good resource. Now, sometimes they don't really know because a feel can be super internalized and hard to put into words, but it's always worth a shot. So, in conclusion, the biggest difference between a 5K and a 2K driver is that A 5K driver is able to internally answer the whys of what they are doing with the car and not rely on the hard-coded knowledge or even guessing the what, the where, and the whens. All of the things that I mentioned early in the video are just external factors that allow people to arrive at the answers to these questions earlier than some others. Thanks for watching. If you're new, I post ARCA and CFIX guides every week, and also some other videos on Thursdays that are more general and broad. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.